Sugar Erica from the Classy Climb blog. Listen, we've been on a mortgage series, on a housing series, talking about housing affordability. We've been hitting our main hotspots, Charlotte, Atlanta, Texas. And so I thought what better way to kind of break it up the conversation is to bring an actual home mortgage tip person to help y'all actually deal with legit questions. So I pulled from the audience and got some good questions coming in,
All right.
and I'm going to shoot them. But first, I want him to introduce himself because I enjoy his content and he cracks me up on Instagram. Go ahead, sir.
All right. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. So me, I'm a home ownership advocate. My name is David. I go by various names. I go by Coinsnculture on Instagram. You can find me on YouTube at the at House Rich, the real estate show, and you can find my podcast with the same name, House Rich, the real estate show. So the name House Rich, because a lot of folks speak negatively about home ownership. I always hear folks being house poor. So I'm like, oh, why don't I flip it and talk about being house rich? There are a lot of folks that are doing well in home ownership, and really, the idea of the page came from I'm in the mortgage industry. I've been in the mortgage industry for about 7 years between being a loan officer and underwriter. And I just saw so many either watered down or just like so much false information
Yeah.
online. And I was just like, hey, why don't I try to, put some information out myself and see what happens. And so, yeah, but folks are kind of caught on. I feel like mortgages is a super boring topic, but I guess folks,
It's not. It's super, where people make it over the top complicated, right? Like,
yeah,
I brought one guy on and he's like, yeah, I've got like access to 5,000 programs. And you can see people just going crazy in the comments, like, what?
yeah,
You got
yeah,
to relax. He's a mortgage broker and
uh,
it's a difference. And like, there is a lot of people dropping bars on the internet, as they say, but sometimes them bars be inaccurate. So
yeah, yeah,
I love just going straight to a person who actually does this daily and can kind of talk with us about it. So I like how you said homeownership advocate because I think there's been this kind of like, oh, you don't want to own a home, rent, you can move cities and hop around and so just kind of piggyback off kind of where you're from. You're from DC, Maryland area, right? Like
yes,
that's a big issue to even. You should really be an advocate because those areas people used to be chocolate city. Now it's like a medium city.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
so
It's,
go ahead.
I was gonna say, yeah, and just to touch on that, like you said, it's Dave Chappelle tells a joke where like folks from other side of the Potomac now, a lot of the white folks are there. Not there's anything bad with that, but a lot of white folks are there now. But like my grandmother, she purchased her home in DC like in 1970, something like that. A- And I talked to my mom about it. I mean, they probably paid no more than $5,000, $10,000 in 1970 when nobody wanted to be in DC, when nobody wanted a home in DC. And now they still, my grandmother unfortunately has passed, but my parents still own that home. And I remember in the 90s going down that block, there used to be people doing drugs and all sorts of unsavory behavior on that block. And now there's literally a Whole Foods on that block right now. And there's like there's studio apartments that are like $3,000 a pop. So I've never looked up the value of that home. It just seemed corny to do. But I know like there's $3,000 studio apartments like on that same block. And she has
That's a
a
$1 million house.
townhome, yeah, on the corner. So it's just like that just shows the power of just purchasing something. And I mean, she couldn't have lived in DC, in her later years, at whatever it would have cost her to be on that same block. So yeah, own something.
It's a big thing. Andre had to have the owner be on shirt, which I was
Yeah,
going to
yeah,
wear today and I forgot. So now you're in Tejas, right? You're in the Texas. Welcome
yes.
to Tejas. Are you in the DFW or the Houston area?
Oh, in DFW, I'm about 30 minutes north of Dallas.
Gotcha, gotcha. So like the DFW, what I love quoting some of the stats is the best one is like DFW Metro's population is bigger than 31 other states.
Okay, I
Just to
didn't
be
even
clear,
realize that. But
right? And I just love that because people are like, why are people moving there? I'm like, if you can't find what you're looking for there, I don't know what you're gonna find
yeah,
anywhere else. And I love Prosper, I love Frisco, I love a couple other places y'all have out there that are just unique, and I like the house structure.
uh-huh.
So, what is the number one step? Now, people are going to say the biggest thing people say is, Erica, there's racism and redlining and all this stuff that happened. And I agree, we know that historically has happened. But when I asked them in the past 5 years, have you been approved for a mortgage? It's like cricket time. It's like nobody's home. What are some of the biggest myths about applying for a mortgage?
So I'd say I don't. this is a myth, but I think the number one thing that stops people from getting approved for a mortgage is the mindset. Like I always tell folks, it seems cliche, but you can't get approved for a mortgage if you don't even apply. Like, because a lot of
Mhm.
folks talk themselves out of even applying. Because, like you said, they think of there is discrimination in the mortgage business. I mean, there's discrimination everywhere. But if you don't even apply in the first place, of course you're not going to qualify. So I think that one of the biggest myths is that like your lender is somehow against you qualifying for a loan. Like lenders make money off of commission. Like your lender, outside of you yourself, your lender
Mhm.
is your biggest advocate in the home buying process. And so they
Right.
want you to qualify for the loan because they want to make money. And so there's only three things that you need to qualify for a home. You need the applicable credit score, you need the
Mhm.
proper debt to income ratio, and you need the funds for the down payment. And so you, the homeowner, control all of those factors. And so yes, there's societal things around there, but you, the homeowner, control all three of those factors when it comes to purchasing homes. I think that the biggest myth is that somehow home ownership is out of your control, or that folks don't want you to have a home.
Okay. Another one is, listen, back in 2008, they called it if you're breathing loan. No
Yeah,
doc, no information loan.
yeah.
Nowadays, there are programs that you can come in at 3.5%, 10%, 20%. Why aren't people learning more about these programs? Are they just not being marketed well?
So I mean that's a great question. I mean, you kind of have to go out there and find the information. I mean, obviously they don't teach homeownership in school or any school I've been to or been aware of. I've been
Mm-hmm.
out of school for a bit. Maybe they're doing a little bit now, but it's just a lack of information and folks, like I said, maybe not wanting to search the information. But I always go back to talk to someone about the information, or if you want to get a loan, you have to talk to somebody about it. Whether you can come to my page and get
Mm-hmm.
some free information there, talk to your bank. I mean, sometimes folks are scared of big banks. They think they don't want them to qualify for a loan, but just talk to a loan officer. I mean, you can literally, if you bank at Chase, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, some bank that has like a brick and mortar, you can literally just walk in the front door. I would recommend calling to schedule an appointment, but you can walk in the front door and just say, "Hey, can I speak to a loan officer? I have some questions," and they will answer your questions. That's literally why they are there in the bank, is to answer your questions. So yes, it's a lack of people searching information, and a lot of times folks don't know what to even search for in the first place. I would guess as well.
One of your posts that I thought was hilarious, which I'm going to share,
All right.
because I love it's a joke in itself, but people are like, you can Google that. If you guys want to check it out, here's Coinsnculture. You guys check his page out here. Scroll down, and I think it was, I hope it wasn't that long ago. Where did I see it?
Yeah, I posted. Yeah, right
Oh, right
there with
here. There you go.
sure. Yeah.
So big thing people are always confused about is, how do I find down payment assistance, and does it exist? And so, are you seeing a lot of programs in Dallas? Because that's right here on this pop up. It's there, and you would think it doesn't exist because people are so like, oh, I got to come up with the down payment. It's so hard.
Mhm. Yeah. So it depends. So yes, there are a lot of programs, but the one thing about down payment assistance is folks don't realize, and why I made that post is you have to search for it yourself. Because here's what
Hmm.
happens: there's a lot of down payment assistance programs, but all lenders have to be qualified in order to lend on the down payment assistance programs. Like in Texas, there's a TSHAC, TSHAC.
Hmm.
Is a popular program here in the DFW or in Texas. There's a bunch of different programs, but you have to actually search for them because no no shade or anything bad about a loan officer, but if I'm a loan officer, I used to work at Chase, so we
Hmm.
could not lend on certain loan programs. And so
Right.
if you needed down payment assistance, like on there's like a Dallas housing down payment assistance program that gives you like $20,000. I'm never going to bring that up to you because like why would I why would I introduce you to a down payment assistance program that I am not qualified to lend on so that you go to another lender?
Right.
And so if you ask me about it, of course I will talk about it, but there's no incentive for that loan officer to mention a down payment assistance program that they don't have in their repertoire. So a lot of times people are missing out on a lot of down payment assistance programs because the lender, like I said, the lender's not going to bring it up if they're not qualified to lend on the program. So that's why I say you have to Google the stuff that's out there so you can say, okay, hey, if I really want to use this program, now I need to find a lender that is qualified to lend on the program. That's where I start my search. I don't just walk into a Chase, where I don't just call my friend and ask them for a lender, or I don't talk to my realtor and ask for a lender. I need to find out what lenders are qualified to lend on this specific program that I want to execute on.
So one of the other questions people said is it's really hard to find a realtor. And I go, well, just as for example, North Carolina has over 100,000 realtors. So you're not going, you can throw a rock and hit a realtor. There's more
Yeah,
realtors available in America than there are homes, right? The
yeah.
key is, are you pre-approved? There's not a realtor out there that I know of, lately with the training, that's just going to be taking you out looking at houses all weekend at open houses, and even with Open Door, and I think Zillow was the house I've seen them put out here in the market in Austin. Yeah, you can schedule a time to go look at it, but it's a process, right? It's a process, and people are kind of doing things out of order.
Yeah, so as you mentioned, realtors like your loan officer, they work off a commission. Like no realtor that's doing anything. Maybe there's new realtors that may be looking for business, but no realtor is going to go out and show you homes if you're not even qualified to potentially purchase that home in the first place. I mean, they're wasting their time. So it just makes sense for you to, and that's to respect the realtor's time, and you also want to respect
Mm-hmm.
your time as well. So you may think you're qualified for a $300,000 home because you can make the payment in your eyes, but you may be wasting your time as well looking at the price bracket that you can't even afford.
Yeah.
So
Hurt
you
your
got
own feelings.
yeah,
You
yeah,
hurt your own
exactly. So,
feelings.
yeah, you got to go through that process and get pre-qualified because there's especially 100% if you're self-employed, you need to get
Oh man.
pre-qualified because your
Yes.
CPA's goal is to like write off everything under the sun. And so you may make $100,000 in revenue, but by the time it comes tax time, you may have like $10,000 in usable income. So you need to see what you're qualified based on the lending guidelines to actually afford. Or like say you're wasting the realtor's time, you're wasting your time as well.
Yeah, I ended up getting approved for a really high low mortgage, close to 600,000, but it was through my business LLC. Like
Uh-huh.
the broker had shot it out and got back this offer, and I was like, man, that's awesome. Well, then I would go to certain new construction. They're like, hey, we have LLC here. Gotta go to this other company. Maybe they'll take it. And it was like, oh, so even the loan you get, if you're a business owner, it's very important
Yeah,
because
definitely.
you may have that issue where you can't,
And if I could touch on one more thing, and so like if you just have no idea like who any realtors are in your area, like there's an organization called NAREB, NAREB, National
Mhm.
Association of Real Estate Brokers. So it's um a, a, basically a black realtor organization, and so their whole thing is fighting for democracy and housing. So if you're in a major city, there's most likely like a NAREB organization in your area, and that's maybe a good place to start if you have like no idea, don't even have a referral or a friend to
Wait,
talk to
hey,
a
spell it
realtor.
again for me.
NAREB, NAREB.
EB.
Yeah, yeah, EB,
Do that to make sure.
NAREB. Yeah, National Association of Real Estate Brokers is what it stands for.
Yeah, I'm just pulling up for the folks.
But yeah, yeah, their whole thing is fighting for democracy and housing. So like, so that's a good place to start as well. But honestly, my personal preference is just to ask a friend so that they can recommend somebody that they've actually done business with, and hopefully do a good job for them. So and always look for get 3 referrals anyways, no matter how great the first person seems.
For sure, for sure. Well, I saw a stat that said 81% of first-time home buyers, they go with the first real estate agent they meet.
Hmm.
Isn't that crazy? And
Yeah,
then,
yeah,
and
yeah,
that's what, huh, go ahead.
yeah. I was gonna say, and like I said, to me, the reason why I always recommend 3 is one, you don't know what's good in the first place if you don't if
Mhm.
you don't get another if you don't get another referral. So, I mean, it's like when you're a kid, like a $10 seemed like a lot of money as a kid because you had no point
Mhm.
of reference. But you need another a couple points of reference in order to figure out who the realtor is for you. And I would say like some questions you should definitely ask your realtor. Number one, I would ask is, are you full time or part time? Because I think like 90% of realtors
Mhm.
are part time, and nothing bad about that. But if your realtor has a 9 to 5 and you need to look for home, like you're only going to be able to look for homes Saturday and Sunday, or in their off hours. So if they are like a 9 to 5 realtor, like ask them if they have a team, so that there's people
Mhm.
that can show you houses while they are not while they're unavailable. I would ask them, what areas they specialize in. Realtors, they'll tell you they're great in every area, but they're realtors. Typically, they should have like a market, like here in the Dallas area, like Cedar Hill is a completely different market than Frisco or Dallas or
Yeah.
other places. So like a realtor should have a niche. You hopefully want to find a realtor that has a niche in a certain area, because especially like nowadays with the housing market being so wild, you want to find a realtor that like knows the area because they may be able to have contacts and find houses that are like off the market and stuff like that to help you in your search. But yeah, realtors will tell you that they cover everywhere they can drive. But
Listen, I tell people, I learned when I first got my real estate license, and I only did apartment locating here in Austin. Like, I delivered pizzas at night, and I drove this one area, so I knew every house, everything in that neighborhood, and I knew all the apartments over there. And so when I got hired, they were like, "How do you know this neighborhood?" Like, I'm like,
yeah,
"For pizzas." And so when people tell me they work everywhere, there's no way. There's just such intricate information. Like,
yeah,
there's a neighborhood around the corner from me that you'll drive around over there, a house will be for sale like up a little side street, and it'll be
yeah,
gone before you know it. And it's
yeah,
just because it's established, it has more yard space, all this stuff
yeah.
here in Austin. So I like that stat, 90% are part time. Whew, that's
Hmm.
crazy. Um, Another thing I had, what was the other question I had left? Can you get money? Oh, there was. Can you get money back at closing? Is that common?
So it is. So no, it's not common. So you can't. I've seen people happen to it. I don't think you can in Texas. Like I've never seen it happen in
Mm-hmm.
Texas. There's certain programs. Well, there's certain guidelines in certain states. And so like my major point of reference is Texas, where you don't get cash back at closing, except for like I've seen with NACA, NACA, people get cash back at closing. There's like a
Mm-hmm.
different set of guidelines. But typically you're not going to get cash back at closing unless you're like I think NACA does somehow because
Mm-hmm.
it's a completely different like loan structure. But for the most part, I mean, you're purchasing a home, and your goal hopefully is to bring a little bit of money into closing. But you're going to assume you're going to have to bring money to closing. I would assume, yeah, I would tell everybody to assume you have to bring money to closing.
So during this whole crazy pandemic, I know Dallas has been crazy. Our friend Tim Jackson like retired and then had to come out of retirement because he kept blowing his phone up. He's been a real estate broker agent for 20 years, and he
Uh-huh.
was saying how he would get up 8 a.m. and by 10 a.m. it'd be 20 offers on a house, and he's like, this is just crazy.
Yeah.
As a mortgage person, I'm trying to think of the word mortgage person.
That's fine.
Are
That's
you
fine.
working remote or are you in an office? Are you feeling that craziness?
No, so I'm working from home right now. As far as everything that's going on. So luckily I get to work from home. So yeah.
Gotcha. Another question were for people that are 1099 workers. I think this lady put in her question, she was like a Uber driver and some other stuff. She did Instacart, she did all this stuff, and she put her money in the bank. That's why I'm showing this clip.
Uh-huh.
Put your money in the bank. How can she be approved for a mortgage? What can she do?
So if you're 1099, your lender is typically going to want to see a 2 year history of work history in that field. So like if you're Uber for like a year and then you do some other 1099 gig, that's not going to work. It has to be like one. You can go Uber, Lyft, DoorDash, something that involves you maneuvering in a car. But your lender's
Mm-hmm.
going to want to see a 2 year history of that of that job. And so how do they determine a 2 year history? They look at your tax return. So if you're not filing the income on your tax returns, you're kind of playing yourself when it comes to a
Right.
mortgage because your lender is going to want to see that what you file on your taxes. And so your lender was want to so your lender wants to see typically so how they tell if how things are going is they want to see basically an increase. So let's say on the bottom line. So let me jump back for a second. So
Sure.
going back to the tax returns once again, if your lender, if your excuse me, if your CPA is writing off everything under the sun, you're going to be a little bit out of luck as far as your
Yeah.
income. So if you're a 1099 and you're a Schedule C, that's most likely what your taxes are filed at. Look at block 31 on your tax returns for your Schedule C. That is your usable income. So like block 1 is your revenue. Block 31 is the box that typically your lender uses. There's like a block 12 and 13 stuff you can add back in. But 9 times out of 10, your block 31 is the income that lender is using. So look at block 31. And so let's say block 31 says you made $40,000 in
Mm-hmm.
2019 and then $50,000 in 2021. The lender's going to take a 2 year average. So you're going to be making $45,000 as far as they're concerned. But on the other end, let's say you made $60,000 in 2019 and then $30,000 in 2020. Since there's a decline, your lender's
Mm-hmm.
going to use the $30,000 as far as your income because your income is declining. And so, like self-employed, they always just unfortunately assume the worst case scenario. If it's increasing, it's an average. If it's decreasing, it is they just use the most recent year. And as far as just putting money in the bank, I didn't really put it in that post, but so any so a large deposit is basically any income that is more than half of your regular monthly salary, whether you're 1099 or W-2. And so if you're putting money in the bank that you can't verify, meaning like penny for penny, the lender like will not use it. But the trick about that is the lender only looks back 60 days. So let's say you got $5,000 just somewhere, who knows, but of course illegally or illegally
Legally.
I said legally, and you put that money and you like it's been sitting in a safe or something for like 3 years and you can't confirm where it came from. Put that money in the bank right now, and then so when it's time to apply for a loan, as long as it's 60 days later or two bank statements later, the lender's not going to see that large deposit because time's already time's already passed. They're not going to see the deposit because it was 3 statements ago. So that's kind of a tip to get around if you're somebody that just keeps money in cash or under the mattress or whatever, is to make sure you put the money in the bank now so that you don't have to try to source it down the line. So, but of course, legal money there. So we're doing
What's
it.
funny is Adria, I messed up her name, but it was like Adrian had a thing where it was a little skit, and she was like, whenever the bank sees cash in your bank account, they're like, drugs money, drugs money.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's the thing. I mean, you typically, as long as it's under $10,000, the bank won't make a big deal about it. I mean, if technically they can flag any transaction, but yeah, I would say obviously not endorsing moving any drug money or doing drugs at all. But like $10,000 typically, well, if it's over $10,000, they have to flag it and put your money in the bank right now. And if you have a bunch of money in cash that you cannot source, and so when I say source down to the penny. Like if you're putting in $5,000 into the bank, you have to have like a bank deposit slip for $5,000. It can't be a bunch of $3,000, $1,000, and a bunch of other stuff. You need to have like a bank deposit or slip or withdrawal slip, excuse me, for $5,000 to account for that exact amount of cash.
How you guys doing? This is Erica from the Classy Climb blog. Listen, I know this year has kicked some of you right in the pants, but we don't have to sit down and take this lying down. At the end of the day, what we can do here is fight back. You have to design your digital life. Many people out there know the power of the internet, know the power of social media, know the power of Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, but don't know the steps in order to organize themselves to win. How do you get on there, get leads, get customers, and win? Well, that's what I'm putting together this course for. It's for those of you who want to have a digital footprint and dominate. Listen, in these years of 18 to 24 months, we don't know whether we're going to be in the house or out the house. Let's get you where you want to be, near your family, near your friends, in a safe location, and still making money daily. Let's not give up because of the news, of the lack of support from friends and family. You can do this.
Yeah, it's super crazy. I sold a pickup truck, an old work pickup truck, for $20K. Well, the Hispanic guy bought all cash. So I go to the bank and I'm like trying to give her something. She's like, "Are you sure you want to give me more than this?" I was looking at her like, "What do you mean?" She's like, 10K today, maybe 10K tomorrow.
Yeah.
So the bank tellers don't want to have to do the work either. They don't call you to pay for insurance and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So in this video clip, you're talking about FHA loan and VA loan. You know, people be like, "Well, you get an FHA with 580." That's a very popular thing I've seen all over Instagram during the vid. And what's the gist of what you're saying in this video? I don't want to, have to play.
Yeah, so like this is just one of those things that people just kind of say, but like they don't ever dive into the actual answer. So as far as the actual FHA guidelines, so you can actually get an FHA loan. The guidelines say you can get an FHA loan with a 500 credit score as long as you put down 10%. And you get an FHA loan with the 580 credit score as long as you put down 3.5%. But the trick is to find someone that would do that, because you got to be honest with yourself. A 580 is a very low credit score. And once again, being honest with yourself, a 580 credit score means that you have some sort of financial irresponsibilities, whether it's current day or in the past. So like, so that's why a lot of banks will not lend at these, definitely not at 500, but at this 580 guideline. So I mean, if you're messing with like a big lender like a Chase, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, probably like a Rocket Mortgage or like brand name banks that you've heard, for the most part, they're not going to mess with the 580 credit score. They're going to say, hey, you need to have a 620 credit score. And so, like I said, the reason for that is they sell off the loans to other investors and all this. And so the investors are like, hey, we don't want a bunch of loans or a package of loans. I think at mortgage-backed securities where people are going to default, we want a certain baseline of risk, and our baseline is a 620 or a 640. So typically 620, 640 is where like your major lenders are at. But there are lenders that'll say, hey, we'll do a 580. But like I said, it's risky because I mean, honestly, once again, being honest with yourself, if you got a 580 credit score, you have some sort of financial irresponsibility, either present day or in your past, you're trying to overcome. So they're going to hit you with that a high interest rate. And so, like I said, I'll do what you want.
7% high right now?
Say that again.
7% high right now?
Oh, yeah, 7% is that's very, very high. So right now, rates are probably like in the low to mid threes right now. So yeah, if you're at a 7%, like you're like paying through the roof. I mean, like most lenders won't even offer you an interest rate that high. I mean, you typically won't qualify if we're talking about like a traditional mortgage, like a conventional FHA, VA, USD loan. Like rates typically aren't even that high because you wouldn't qualify at that point, unless it's just a lender trying to hustle you.
Dude, my mom got a 2000. Yeah, it was 2000 foreclosure. She bought somebody's foreclosure, and and we were talking about like, hey man, this house, are you paying this off? What are you doing? She's 7% rate, and we were just shocked. And her bank was like, because she kept trying to figure out why the bank kept messaging her that she wanted to refinance. And she's like, no, I'm fine. And they're like, ma'am, do you realize how big this rate is now? But she's always paid so much extra on her mortgage. When she came back from Iraq, she was just like, oh, I just put lump sums on it. I didn't even notice. And then so she's down to her last like 20 grand. The bank's like, well, you just can pay it off. You don't have to worry about it. You paid it so much in advance. And it was a great deal. I mean, she's literally got 150,000 in equity.
Okay, cool.
It was like it was a foreclosure on a lake. 3 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms, 2-car garage. Just a really great deal. So she got it at half price when she got it. It was a foreclosure.
Okay, cool. That's dope.
But it's just funny because you don't know till you ask your parents like, oh, blah blah blah. Like you don't see what they're going through. You don't even know.
Yes, I was talking to my dad a month or so back, and because I was like, hey, the house I grew up with a kid, you probably have paid that off already, or you about to pay it off or something like that. And he was like, because he got the mortgage in 92, so yeah, it'll be paid off this year. But he was telling me like the rate when he first got it was 11%, and so I went back and I was like, I wonder if he got like hustled, or if those were the rates back in 92. Yeah, the rates back in
some of it I think were higher. I think they were a little bit higher. But now if you're getting that, it is high. I do know there was one guy on a bigger pocket, somebody got 13%.
Oh, yeah.
They were like, stop, man.
Yeah.
He was in Atlanta, so I was like, sir, it ain't worth it. I don't care what they say.
Yeah.
So again, FHA, y'all, for the record, if you got the 500, it's going to be like 10% down. You got the 580, 3.5, which is going to be very hard for people to do. Do you see FHA and VA loans? Why is they're kind of all these memes online talking about it takes so long to close an FHA and VA mortgage. Why does it take so long? Like, why is that?
So it really depends on the lender as far as why it takes so long. So the reason they'll take longer than a conventional loan is because FHA and VA loans are government loans. I mean, VA, veteran, I can't think of what the A is in VA, but Veteran Affairs.
Veteran Affairs.
And then Federal Housing Administration or Authority. I always mess up the A and FHA too. The A's are bad on me, but those are government agencies. So, I mean, it's, the government doesn't move fast. And so what happens with these loans a lot of times is like with the conventional loan, typically your lender can just run it right through their own process. So with the FHA loans, a lot of times there's like an extra layer of oversight. So like I'll give an example. So when I was at Chase, we could close like conventional loans like in like 14 days. but the same FHA loans would take us like 45 to 60 days to close. And the reason for
Yeah.
that is because like Chase would be like your bigger lenders, they're audited a lot. So like their FHA loan program was always being audited. So they had to, instead of it going through one underwriter like a commission loan, they had to send it through three underwriters. So they're so scared of being audited and being hit with fines that they have to do all this extra oversight. And so that's the reason those loans take a little bit longer. Um, and sometimes like your lender may be auditing or they have an extra layer of underwriting because of a potential audit. But I know when I was leaving Chase, they were past the audit and they were back to like a 21-day time frame as far as the FHA loan process. And I think the VA was down to 30. But it really depends on the lender as far as how long certain loans will take. So it may be normal time frame, which I think is like 21 to 30 days, depending on your market.
So I like it when you post these fun facts. Fun fact: the difference in the interest rate only changes your monthly payment by $6
Yeah,
on a 30-year mortgage. Fun fact two: the average person stays in their home 8 years before moving. I will say this: this pandemic has shown that people that had houses were house rich. Like all the people that moved from California to here, it's because they had such a boom in equity. People here, even here in Texas, the number one thing that was sold out the whole time in Texas was pools. So like it was a pool company, they were backed up for 6 months. There's like a wealthy YouTuber on, like he makes 3 or 4 million a year. It took 6 months for his pool to get done. And I mean, everybody's like, get a different company, do this today. He's like, yo, I'm paying the number one company in the area. And so I think people took, they said, hey, look, we're already stuck in the house. Let me go ahead and pull some of that money out and put it in a pool because we're going to be stuck in the house anyway. And this way the kids can get out of my hair. Are you seeing, and I'm being careful here, are people going to get that money back later? You know what I'm saying? All these additions and renovations, if we feel like the market's overpriced, some people do, not everybody. Are people going to get that money back?
I mean, typically, I look at the housing market like the stock market. Everyone says so the stock market we know just historically goes up. No matter what's happening. I mean, you can look at like a 1 month snapshot or 2 month snapshot, it may decline. But the stock market always just goes up. If you look at a snapshot of the S&P from whenever to present day, it's just going up. No matter what. I mean, and that's the housing market as well. I mean, it's going up. I mean, people always talk about how extreme the prices are. And let's go back to the example of my grandmother. Actually, I don't know her home value, but let's just say the wild home price in California. Everyone says, hey, look at this piece of crap that's $800,000, $900,000 in California. Somebody bought that for $200,000. Sold to somebody for $400,000. Sold to somebody for $600,000. They thought it was expensive, and then sold it to another person for $700,000. The prices are just going up and up and up. Like I said, it's cliche, but they're not making any more land unless I guess you go to the metaverse or something like that. But I mean, if you're sitting on the home, I mean, in theory, I mean, you should get the money. You should at least, I would say, worst case, break even as far as pulling equity out of your home. And so typically whenever you're pulling equity out of your home, anyways, like lenders will not let you go past the 80% loan to value ratio mark. And so what that is like the appraised value of the home versus the home amount. They won't let you go above that 80% mark for that very case, in case there is a dip in the housing market. And so like your $500,000 home, drops down to 460 or something like that. They always make you keep that 80% piece of equity in there in case something does happen. So for some reason you do need to like sell your home while there is a market dip. There should be the equity in your home to begin with. But honestly, as long as you're fine with holding your home for an extended period of time, like 4 to 5 years, I mean, you should get the home back. Because like I say, if you look at a housing chart, it goes just like the stock market. It just goes up and up and up.
Yeah, Texas makes me mad. I'm in Austin, and I can go an hour to Killeen, and it's like $194,000. But I'm here in Austin, and like I was at home maybe a year or so ago. A builder like ran out of money, and they sold it to another company, and like I lost that house. It was $275. Them same houses are now $430, and I was like, you guys are smoking crack. Stop it, cut it out. Now, something I thought, I like this topic you talked on. I did a whole video on it. This East Harlem affordable housing for 68 million. I did a whole rant on it because I was like, y'all, like people got out of New York, like vastly, because they bought from a company the previous year 170 million. And then now, like a year and some change later, really, because it's all that negotiation, they bought another 9 buildings for 100 million less. Like that's a steal. I was like, either somebody's trying to write off a loss on their taxes, or something's going on up there. But that's the kind of frustration I understand. I don't understand how people will leave New York, go to Atlanta, be there for 20 years, and don't buy a house.
Yeah, wild to me. Yeah.
What was your kind of your feedback on this video for this purchase?
So this video was honestly it's one of those catchy things. I mean, it was a topic at the time. So, but my whole message in this video was that I just see a lot of times folks like to post with for lack of a better term, just like drama porn. Basically, it's just like, hey, we're going to show this flashy headline. I'm going to like share this topic and complain like these white guys bought this building, but like okay, they bought the building already, so you can't do anything about that. I mean, so let's talk about some solutions. So my thing is like the first person to post the video, okay, they're bringing awareness to the topic. Okay, great. Jim Jones posted this. This brought a lot of attention to this. Everyone else doesn't need to repost the same thing unless you're going to post a solution in your comment or talk about a solution in the video. So like in the video, I'm talking about solutions. So like I talked about the NACA program. So I mean, one, you can't complain about people, gentrification or people doing this and that if you're not going to buy any property yourself. So I mean, somebody's got to buy the property. So I mean, so like in the video, I was talking about solutions. So, I mean, the NACA program. Folks complain that the NACA program takes a long time, this, that. But here's the thing about NACA: they're helping you buy a home with less than stellar credit. They're not even taking your credit to account. They literally have no closing costs. And so, of course, there's going to be extra restrictions and timelines on top of a traditional mortgage. Then if you go to the NACA program, I talked about the USDA loan program, 0% down. I talked about the VA loan program, 0% down. And so the thing about the USDA program is, so it stands for, I'm bad with the A's. So United States Department of, I think Agriculture is the A in USDA, but it's like a rural land loan. And so a lot of times folks think you have to be like in the country to use the USDA loans. And so no, like in Dallas, there are USDA zone properties in Dallas, like the city of Dallas. And so you can buy a property for 0% down using the USDA loan. With the FHA loan, 3.5% down, and conventional loan 3% down. So I'm just like, hey, this is a great catchy headline that everyone's posting, but let's talk about some solutions, because I mean everyone can whine about this or that, but unless you're offering solutions, like I'm not really like me, I'm not really into you posting a bunch of stuff complaining about this or that if you're not trying to offer a solution.
Welcome to the internet.
Yeah.
So I see you do like home buying seminars or webinars. Do you do any in person in Dallas, or you just do them online?
No, I do that. So we'll do them in the bank. But yeah, I just do them. I do a lot of them just online. Just because it's easier for me, and I get to kind of talk a little bit different online. So
for sure.
When I'm in the mood, I'll put up a link and be like, hey, you got a week to sign up. But yeah, I just get to talk a little bit different when I get to do it online. You're kind of like restricted.
Probably. Maybe like no, don't do that. So you do those once a month, twice a month?
It depends when I'm in the mood. So I got to do them a little bit more. So I mean, Andre, he wants me to do them like every week, and so I used to do them like every 2 weeks. But I fell off due to I guess I'm not going to make an excuse why I fell off. But I used to do them like every 2 weeks. I would do like a home buying one and like a credit one as well. It's like credit is something that's very near and dear to me, because that's probably the most how can I say this? Well, I'll just say what I want to say. The credit is a topic where the people try to take advantage of people the most in this credit. Just folks don't know how credit really works. It's so many folks that don't know what they're talking about, and they're talking about all this, hey, let me fix your credit in 14 days, 30 days, and stuff that it's just, if anybody would actually read any guidelines for the Fair Credit Reporting Act, a lot of people are saying it's just blatantly wrong. Like, so just because I'm in that space, like I see like a lot of I get a lot of those ads on in my IG feed, and so I always click on them to see what people are talking about, and just to me, it's
Maybe,
some of the
wow.
stuff yeah, some of the stuff is just so blatantly like wrong. It's just like come on now, like, but yeah, just
I,
that. Yeah. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say the two people I said are gonna become billionaires in this pandemic and the rest of the time is Grant Cardone and Dave Ramsey. But also when it comes to digital, making digital, being a creator, economy, it's the credit repair people. The credit
Yeah,
repair people and startup business people are gonna make a lot of money. They're just
mm,
gonna make a lot of money because so many people are in a desperate mode. Like
yeah,
I'm in one credit repair group because I like just going in there starting crap. I'm that person. And they have like 500,000 members in there, and every day people are posting these amazing scores. And if you ask them, hey, what are you doing with it? They get angry. They're like, why are you caring? And I'm like,
uh,
because it don't mean nothing. You showing me something, you have no game plan for it, you don't want to buy a house with it. It'll help you get a job. So
yeah,
it's kind of like you understanding credit is a tool.
yeah, yeah. So I'll say this, like I have no beef with anybody doing credit repair. Like sometimes folks are like, don't ever pay them to fix your credit. Like I say, folks pay folks for Uber Eats. They pay for folks to mow their lawn. They pay for all this.
Uber Eats.
Like you're paying for the convenience and the person's subject matter expertise. So like I have no beef with anyone actually doing credit
Mm-hmm.
repair. I got actually I don't have beef with anybody really, but I find it weird. I find it suspect all the misinformation out there. So like I'll tell you a couple things. Like if anyone's looking to do credit repair, I'll tell you a couple ways to know that the person trying to repair your credit is not up to par. So one, like if that person is guarantee you any timeline, especially in less than 30 days, like they either are lying, don't know what they're talking about, or about to do something legal. Because if you read the
Yeah.
Fair Credit Reporting Act, if you actually read it, it says that lenders or debt collectors have usually up to 30 days to respond to any claim. And so there's a caveat. It says usually 30 days because sometimes they have 45 days to respond to any claim. So how in the world can anybody guarantee you a timeline less than 30 days if the debt collector doesn't even have to respond for 30 days in the first place? So I always say like that's a telltale sign they're about to do something suspicious if they're guaranteeing
It, it,
yeah. And so, and also if they're just guaranteeing any sort of result. So like there's when it comes to credit repair, there's no formula, algorithm, or secret sauce any credit repair person has. Literally the only way to get stuff removed from your credit report if it's inaccurate or unverifiable. And so it can be yours, but if it's inaccurate, it can be removed. But unless it's inaccurate or the debt collector can't verify it, the person repaying your credit cannot get it removed from your credit report. And so um, what you want to do if you want to kind of do a DIY credit yourself, what you really want to do is just get a copy of your credit report. You can go to like the annualcreditreport.com. It's kind of clunky, or you can go to like Identity IQ. That's a paid site, but you just want to go and pull what's on your credit report and just literally go. So let's say you have a collection for like a I don't know. There's like a $75 medical collection or something on your credit report. You want to go to that. No. Let's say there's a credit card collection. It's something we can go through a little bit easier. You literally want to go through that collection on your credit report, and there's typically like 10 data points, and you want to verify that the balance is correct. You want to verify all the data points that are listed on that credit report, and you want to compare like your Equifax to your TransUnion to your Experian. So if something different between Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian, you know at least one of those items are wrong. You also want to go down there and verify that all the dates are correct, account numbers are correct, and all that. That is all the credit repair person is doing. So once again, you're paying for their time and their expertise to do it, but
yeah.
there's no sauce or formula that they have that is like, oh, I'm going to write this letter and word it this way and get it removed. That's not a thing. So anybody
Oh
guaranteeing,
man, it's
yeah,
been like the Wild West out here with these credit repair stories.
yeah,
Like I'm like, no, y'all, I don't know what y'all talking about.
yeah,
Hey man, I need this in 30 days. Like I don't know where are you getting this information from?
yeah,
But it ain't legal. American Greed gonna be full of people in a couple years.
yeah.
So
And
so
also,
because of it,
say one more thing, like and public record. So like your credit repair person, you're paying $99 a month, cannot remove bankruptcies, child support, student. They cannot remove that from
man, you
public
killing
record.
people's ass right now.
Yeah, so they can remove it from your credit report because it may be unverifiable, but they cannot remove it from public record. So that's a whole
Mhm.
different thing. So like when you go, if they remove a bankruptcy somehow because there's some like date in it wrong or something like that, it's still part of public record. So when you apply for a mortgage, your underwriter is going to go. I'm not going to say the website, but they're going to go to this website where they pull public records, and they're going to
Right.
say, Chris has a bankruptcy from in 2017, and so now it's your responsibility to explain why the public records are inaccurate. Not, and you can't be like, oh, it's not in your credit report, because when they go to public records, they literally pulling it from the court system. So like your credit report person is not hacking into the Dallas County court system to remove your bankruptcy. It's still
Yeah.
there. It's just not on your credit report. So just FYI for all the folks that think that all this stuff is gone. It's not. So
Good. All right, well, listen, anytime Andre Hatchett challenges somebody to do a weekly or monthly credit webinar or home buying webinar, I gotta keep up the challenge. You gotta do it at least twice a month.
yes.
Because people be looking for the answers. Well, also, this was my last question. What is your goal this year? How many home closings would you like to complete this year for Fly?
It's a good question. So six. So six is the goal as far as like transactions per year, as far as like a personal goal there. So that's like a professional like 9 to 5 goal as far as that. So honestly, as far as my real goals, honestly,
Is
are
it
to
6 a month?
correct, yes.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So like that's kind of like my 9 to 5 goal. My goal, like my professional goal, is hopefully to build my platform big enough that I don't have to do that stuff anymore. So like my ultimate goal is like to use my platform to connect reputable like lenders and realtors and people buying a home, and to connect them through my platform. That's the ultimate goal of where I'm trying to move towards there. And so hopefully that can take me away from the corporate world. But yeah, 9 to 5, 6, but my what do you call it, the 6 to 9 or whatever.
6 to 9.
Yeah, that's my goal there. So.
I like it. Listen, tell people where they can find you on this man's internet, because I want people to, I like when people who are actively doing something, if that's the way I like to say it, actively participating in this economy, actively closing on loans, actively working, actively in Dallas, right? Because half of Dallas is from LA, and then they some time in Dallas. So.
All right, so you're watching this on YouTube, I so you can find me on YouTube and just Google. So if you can see the name down there, House Rich, the real estate show, that's my YouTube channel. I started it in December, so I think I got about 70 videos up. So check it out. It's a lot of good content on there. That I have a podcast as well, so check out the podcast. So what I do in the podcast is I interview people in various aspects of real estate, and I talk about their stories. I interview average people that have done above average things in real estate, and just try to show folks that a lot of folks that you may see that look like they're a big deal, they started off just where you did. And so I drop an episode a week there, and also I cover either a credit or mortgage topic every week as well. So find me on YouTube or the podcast, and you can find me on Instagram as well. My name right there, Coinsnculture, right there on IG as well. So yeah, I post maybe 3-ish times a day. So I try to bring you some good content a couple times a week.
It's
So
always creative.
you can always DM me, and I most likely will answer your questions. So as long as it's not too in depth, I'll give you I'll give you an answer if you say so in the show. No matter what you ask me, I promise you, I'll give you an answer.
Okay, y'all, careful. He done said, you see him out there, blow up his DM, tell him the Classy Climb sent you.
Yeah.
So listen, thank you so much for your time, Dave. I will be in Dallas February 26th and 27th for the Better Way Conference. With Jay Rich, Jay Monopoly up there. It's real estate based, so if you're up and about, let us know. I'll be hanging out there with Tim Jackson and also Diamond Gate that you see on my channel here. So just if you're out for lunch or something, we do it as a group or whatever. Let me know if you're interested.
Yeah, definitely. What's it called again?
It's called the Better Way Conference. It'll be at like the Sheraton Dallas, but I'll be all in that area for the 3 or 4 days before the week starts.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, definitely. Okay.
So just let me know, keep me posted, keep me in the loop, and you should see this video out here pretty soon. You guys, thank you for letting my guest come through and blow up his DMs. That's what he said too, destroy him, put him in shambles.
Yes.
But this is your girl, Erica Williams from the Classy Climb blog. Thank you guys for joining me on the house buying series. We're trying to explore what's going on with this economy right now and that's going on in the big Texas. So check it out. The next show.
Everybody, this is DJ the Money Coach. I want to invite you to our master class and teach you the pom-pom lifestyle. That's plenty of money and peace of mind, so you can come join us on the Beaches of the World Club. What is that master class going to do for you? It's going to help you create your Black History success story. I'm going to teach you how to create consumer debt freedom, earn an 800 credit score. I'm going to teach you how to pay off your home in 5 to 7 years. I'm going to teach you how to create passive income of $8,333 a month by acquiring businesses, acquiring real estate, and leveraging the tax laws. I'm also going to throw in our family finance one-on-one course, 3 hours, 18 modules. I'm going to give you our best-selling book, ABCs of Wealth, the common sense strategy of achieving American dream. And as a special bonus, I'm going to give you 3 consultations live with DJ the Money Coach, Melvin Hobson, our registered investment advisor of 18 years, and James Lane Jr., our CPA over 7 years. And all you have to do is say, get me free to create Black History with DJ Money. That's right. Get me free, create Black History with DJ Money. Hit the link and you get over $3,000 worth of value for less than $200 to celebrate Black History, and come join me on the Beaches of the World Club with DJ Money in the master class.